just go for it, enjoy the ride, man. And I'm sure you'll have some good times as well, because I'm just a normal guy. You know, I'm not a normal guy from a normal town. None of my family were born in, like, I wasn't born into Muay Thai. Like, none of my family do it. None of my family are fighters. I've just worked hard and I've achieved something good with my life.
Welcome to the Science of Building Champions podcast, where your host Don Heatrick chats with top-level fighters and coaches, diving into their stories to discover what makes champions.
Today, I'm honoured to speak with Daniel McGowan, 2 times world champion, UK #1 featherweight, unbeaten in Lumpini and Rajadamnern Stadiums in Bangkok over a total of 8 fights, and still only 24 years old. It's great to have you join me from, Singapore today, Dan.
Yeah, it's always somewhere different, isn't it? Always somewhere different.
I mean, last time I did speak to you, it was in Bolton. I think it was 2017, wasn't it? Rungarai?
Yeah, Rungarai fight. So 2017 in October.
Yeah. So there's been a hell of a lot that's gone on since then, and you know the intro that I've given you there sounds like everything's been cushy and plain sailing. When of course the reality, it definitely isn't. So I wanna sort of get a chance to dig through your story really and find that out for everybody, so they can get a real true reflection of what it takes to achieve what you have achieved so far, and what you're looking to achieve going forwards. And I don't want to sort of jump the gun. I want to sort of rewind, especially for the people that are on the podcast. And even though we have spoken before, look at how you started out in Muay Thai. So can you give us a snapshot really of how this story all started out for you?
So I started martial arts when I was about 4 years old. I was doing Taekwondo. I did Taekwondo, and I think a leaflet come through the door, and I think my mum and dad took me just to see if I liked it, and I really enjoyed it. So I carried on going, and then kept going, and then I think I got to like 9 years old, I think it was, and I was doing all the competitions and stuff. But like we know, like Taekwondo isn't really a full contact sport really in comparison to Muay Thai anyway.
Right.
And I wanted to compete and stuff like that. So I was getting like disqualified and stuff for going too hard in these competitions. And when you're a young lad, you don't really think about contact. Like, you're going in, you fight, and you don't really think anything of it. So then I remember I kept getting disqualified, and I think it was a bit disheartening for me. So I then knew someone that was at a local it was like a Thai/kickboxing gym, and I went there for a couple of years, and then I moved to Bedford, and that's when I went to East Area Gym in Bedford, and that's where I met Parmpet, my Thai trainer, and then I was there for a few years, and then I kind of realized that if I wanted to take it to the next level, because I was really, really loving it at this point, like Muay Thai was like I actually played football as well, and Muay Thai kind of took over that passion. I was actually playing high level football at the time. I played for Luton Town Football Club, but the passion for Muay Thai and kickboxing at the time was like took over the football, and I actually kind of put football on the back burner really, and then put more focus into Muay Thai, and then I actually ended up just giving up football in the end. But then the real change, the game changer, was when I went to Liam Robinson's when I was 14, and like Pan took me down there, and yeah, like I proper fell in love with it, like with Muay Thai then, like really took it seriously from there on in, and because Liam showed me like the way of like the scoring properly, like he went through it really specifically, because I had Pan obviously, and Pan obviously was a Thai champion, Rajadamnern champion himself, but he couldn't go into fine detail sometimes just because of the language barrier. So yeah, It was really good to have like Liam and Parmpet as a duo, because both of them wanted the same outcome for me, and both of them had the same kind of thing in mind, but Liam could really explain things well. So yeah, that was when I really kind of took it really serious. And then I went to Thailand just after that, and that's when I had my first fight in Rajadamnern. I was 15 years old. I just turned 15, and I won that. And then yeah, ever since, like just from there on in, I literally just turned 25 last week. So
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Right.
from there, so from 15 to now, I've been like ever since. Yeah, just Muay Thai has just been, it's took over my life. Yeah.
And you know, we've gone from you starting here in the UK in the sort of Bedford area, and of course you mentioned Liam there, and I'd love to kind of touch on. I mean, obviously Liam. I had Tony Myers as well on the podcast a few episodes ago, and we were talking about Liam and his kind of impact and influence on the Muay Thai scene. And he's of course no longer with us, but I'd love to kind of for you to really speak about Liam and expand a little bit on that time you had with him in your training and what that meant to you.
Yeah. So like I said, when I went there when I was 14, it was like, I proper fell in love with Muay Thai because even though I'd get home from school, I'd do a full day at school and then I'd travel to Northampton. So that's about 40 minutes, 45, 50 minutes drive there and then the same back the way. Sometimes even getting a bus there, like when I got a little bit, maybe when I got to like 16, I was getting a bus up. So it was taking about an hour and a half to get there and stuff. But I couldn't wait to get out of school and go to the gym, like, because the vibe was just, it was just such a good vibe. Like still, I think to this day, I mean, since he passed away, it's got to be like coming up to 7 years, is it now? Like, so it's been a while,
yeah.
but yeah, it's been a long time. But like, from in them kind of times, from that, like in them 7 years, I don't think I've ever had times like that in my career, like where I've like really, I mean, I've enjoyed Thai boxing, obviously, like otherwise I wouldn't do it, but that just the best time of my life, I think, was around that time, 14 to 18, like when he passed away. And I learned so much through him in Muay Thai, and just as a person probably as well, because like not that we were similar people, because we were probably a little bit different, like our personalities, but the way he was for his fighters and stuff, it really taught me a lot. Like if you want to get the best out of people, you've got to put the work in to these people as well, and that's exactly what he done. And another thing is, it taught me that you've got to have a balance as like, especially coaching, in the coaching side of things, like you've got to have that strict and business mode about you, but you've also got to have the balance where you can be a brother to your, like a brother or whatever, or a role model to your students or whatever. So he was like a brother to us. Like I'd tell him like all of my deepest, darkest secrets. Like he'd know, like he'd be the first person I'd ring up and I'd tell him something, and then like, so like the trust was just like this massive thing. So like, yeah, trying to find something like that, like ever since. So like, it's weird because, I mean, I really appreciate him obviously when he was here, but the old saying is like, you don't know what you got until it's gone. And it really, I think that's what a lot of people have found out. Like a lot of people have actually stopped Muay Thai since he passed away. Like they've never kind of carried on, or they might have tried to carry on, but they just couldn't, like, and that's how much of an impact he had on a lot of us. So yeah, he changed my life. I think Liam did definitely change my life and my career.
Yeah. And he sounds like it wasn't just you. It was, anyone that was passionate about Muay Thai. He was passionate to help them if they were in it as well, wasn't he?
Yep.
And you mentioned coaching there as well, Dan, because of course now you're involved with coaching yourself. So, taking really like Liam as a role model and lots of other people, Pan, all these different people that you've had training you, and even like the Badco lads, you've been training with those guys recently as well, haven't you, before you've been going out?
Yeah.
How have you sort of taken to going from being purely the fighter and the student to now coaching others? How have you found that?
Again, I think because I had people like him, Pan around me, like Liam and Pan around me, I think I've done pretty well at it. And I've done it for a long time now. Like I've been like kind of dabbing in the coaching side of things for probably about, I'd say like where like I've been doing like a few little PTs or taking my own little juniors from like 15 years old. I'd probably been doing that from like 15 or 16 years old myself. And yeah, I think I learned a lot from them through the coaching thing, because I've like everyone I have had the chance to coach and stuff, I've always tried to put the time and effort that he probably put into me. I've tried doing the same thing, but I've even realized, again, it made me appreciate Liam even more in that sense as well when I started coaching people more, because I found out how difficult that actually was sometimes. And Liam done it all for free, like never took a penny off of me. So
Right.
like, and all of his A-class fighters, like none of us paid a penny. So to do that and like to kind of, yeah, I just realized how hard that obviously is, especially, and a lot of time you're taking out of your life to help others. So yeah, like as a coach, it's definitely helped me, and in that kind of sense, and then even obviously in the technical areas as well. Like Liam was a technical kind of genius. He was a bit like how I actually speak to Dean James about this, and he's obviously, Dean James is with Tony Myers, and so was Liam. And Tony's like Tony's really about like the kind of mechanics of the shots, like really breaks things down really like a lot because of his kind of background in like the sports science and that kind of thing. Whereas Liam obviously took that from Tony, but Liam added a bit of razzle dazzle to it, you know, like he made it look a little bit, he made it look good as well at the same time. Like he made it look kind of stylish. Whereas Tony was like pure basics, mate, don't care if it looks good or bad, like just win. Whereas Liam wanted you to win, but wanted you to look good winning as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like I learned a lot from him in like technical terms as well. And obviously I learned a lot in my fight game. I think that's what it helped me. Like everything kind of that he taught, like really helped me in coaching and fighting a lot.
The coaching side as well, while we're still talking about that, it's surprising how much energy that takes from you as well, though, isn't it? In balance.
Oh yeah. Yeah, massive. Like probably sometimes more than training for your own fight. Like if you were just training for a fight twice a day, it's not I mean, it's hard obviously, but it's just, you've just got to focus on yourself. So you just do it and that's it. Like you don't really think about it. But when you're trying to cater for others, yeah, I think it's actually harder, to be honest.
It's being able to interpret it from someone else's point of view, and you know what you know and how things feel, but then being able to communicate that to someone else and in a way that they understand when they've got a completely different life experience to you is tricky. And it does, I must, you know, that's one of the things I've always found, that, you know, some days when I'm coaching people, it's like that is draining, even though physically I perhaps haven't done too much, the odd demonstration, but it's just kind of the old hard disk up here running and trying to process a way of how do I explain this, and it can run you down a bit. And when you are training to fight as well yourself, and I think that's where a lot of fighters and coaches simultaneously at the same time do find they've really got to balance up what they're doing here in terms of like the PTs that they're doing and their own training. And it's not all like, well, my training is the only demand here. There actually is a lot of demand on your recovery systems with all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's it. It's hard. It is very hard to do both. I've had that a few times in my career where I've had to kind of maybe step back from the coaching a little bit more, because otherwise I couldn't train as much myself, and then I still wanted to be a fighter. I was in my like kind of coming into my prime years. So, but then yeah, like certain deals come about, and I suppose with Muay Thai, just being a fighter, like I know I mentioned like Liam didn't do it for money, he had another job and stuff, but like if you want to do it as a job, being a fighter isn't going to really pay your bills. So, or like I know there's a lot more money probably coming into it now with like your likes of one championship and stuff, but still, to try and live comfortably off of that is still going to be difficult. So you have to do the coaching on the side, you know, like you've got no choice. Kind of thing.
It's one of the big things that I talk to people about, you know, when they're talking about, you know, how you would train in Thailand as a fighter in Thailand. And of course you've done this, you know, you've had that lifestyle where you've been in the gym, you're training twice a day, 6 days a week, hours at a time. But you don't have any other demands, do you? You know, it's like I'm there as a fighter. I've got no other worries. All my energies are on my own training. I can have a nap between the morning session and the afternoon session if I want to, all that kind of stuff. And if you're trying to mimic that model of training when that isn't your lifestyle, when you have got another job, or, you know, Western fighters are coaching people like you say as well, then you have to come up with something else, don't you? Because it doesn't all fit together in the same way, and it needs a different approach.
I've actually got an example of that. Actually, kind of, I used to do the whole go to Thailand and just train and fight, and that was my sole kind of focus. But I don't know if I actually mentioned it to you, because when I spoke to you, I just fought Ryan Sheehan, and
yes, you had, yeah.
I'd won against Ryan, and then you interviewed me before the Ring the Rye fight about 8 weeks later, I think that was, and I fought Ryan, and I trained really hard for the fight, but I was working with Simon Forrest doing the roofing at the time. So we were getting up, like, we were doing crazy stuff. We were like waking up at like 4 a.m. training, and then doing a full day of work on the roofs, which is like quite hard work really anyway.
That's physical.
Then traveling all the way up to like Dean James and Tony Myers, which is like 2 hours around that for us to drive up there, then getting in about probably midnight, then doing it all over again. It's like, and like I burnt. It's probably the first time in a fight where like round 4 and 5, I remember having like, you know, like internal kind of chats with myself, like, are you going to be able to stay up here? Like I was out on my feet like that. I was so tired, like blowing badly. And it's probably the only time in my career where I've really felt like maybe I can't finish this fight off, like, because I'm so exhausted. And I trained so hard. Probably some of the stuff I was doing was probably the hardest I ever trained, you know, like, and the hardest kind of, like, probably maybe one of the hardest training regimes I've done, just because the lack of rest in between the sessions as well. And I think that really went, like, doing too much sometimes, and like you said, like not having the naps in between, not having the recovery, actually can create a negative. So you think you're doing a good thing, but realistically you're just making it worse for yourself.
Yeah, it's a seesaw, and that's something, you know, I have with people when they're starting to introduce strength and conditioning properly as well, because that's like another demand on your recovery. And if you're not accustomed to doing that, then it's very easy to like over season the dish, if you like, if you use a food analogy, where you're just chucking more and more in and you've spoiled it now, when actually leaving some stuff out and just enough of this is the way to do it. And it is respecting, really. And, you know, you've felt this, that it's your ability to recover is affected by not only your training stimulus, but also all of the stresses outside of training. So, and that can be physical stuff like roofing, doing that physical work, but it's also just the travel, all of the actual, the mental side of it as well. I mean, if you chuck into the mix there, then that you'll perhaps also got problems with a family member or a partner or something like this as well, all of that kind of diminishes your ability to recover. So you only get better from training if you recover from it. And it's understanding how all of that plays out, and really not comparing yourself to anybody else, because everyone else's demands are so different. But yes, sometimes it takes for it to fall over once or twice for you to actually realize where that line is for you personally.
Yeah, because that's a really good point with the whole not comparing yourself to others, because I've seen some fighters on Instagram or whatever, on the social media platforms, and their schedules look like some of the stuff they're doing, I'm like take my hat off to them, like fair play, like, but I genuinely, not because I'd probably give a good go, or I probably could do it, the task that they're doing, but I just feel like my recovery would be horrendous, and I feel like it would do me in the whole week. And I don't think I've ever needed, like, you know, some of the extremes some of these people go to, and I'm like, is it needed? Maybe for them it is, but for me it's not. I've always kind of had, I think I figured out my kind of regime that worked for me, fitness wise and stuff like that, and I think I don't need to go do that crazy stuff to be fit for a fight, whereas some people might have to. But yeah, I don't know how some people do it sometimes, but then, like you said, there's no point comparing yourself to these kind of people, because their bodies are completely different. They might be younger, they might be, I don't know, they might just have different genetics. There's just so many things that come into account with training regimes and stuff.
That's right. I mean, and it is down to how much sleep and rest they're getting, what is the nutrition like. But the other thing is as well, there's lots of different ways to progress your training, and in a very simplistic type way, if you're not managing all the different variables that well, the kind of the biggest way you can see of improving yourself is just to do more. And there's a ceiling on that, like you say. You know, it's like, well, I can't physically do any more than this to make myself better. When in reality, there's lots of different things you can be doing to different intensities that would nudge you up. And it's actually, you're doing it right if you're doing what's like a minimum dose. So the minimum amount of work you can do to get your body to adapt, because your body will adapt by so much percent, regardless of whether you completely overstep the mark to achieve that adaptation or whether you only just trip the tripwire to make it happen. So, you're playing the clever long game if you're only just doing enough to make yourself better all the time, and let everyone kind of go rushing off and go too crazy and end up with their head against the glass ceiling prematurely, or injured and ill and all this kind of stuff, and you're just not making progress then. But it is a bit of a case now, isn't it, with social media? There is a bit of a comparison thing going on with, well, I'm doing more than you. I'm a more hardcore fighter than you, and it's like, not really understanding that.
The thing what I've I think with me, what I've noticed now is that, like you said, it doesn't really matter. You have your own way of doing things, and results speak for themselves anyway. So I feel like I've proven that I can beat these top level fighters. I don't have to kind of show off my crazy schedule. Like if it, like, there's nothing to really, how to put it? Like I don't feel the need to even really share it with people anyway. But two, my results speak for themselves anyway. So even if you do train 1,000 times harder than me, I've still beaten these top level fighters, and so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't actually matter in the end, because we're all doing it to win fights. So that's all we're training for, really. We're not. What else are we doing it for? So as long as you're winning fights and you're getting the results, then that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, at the end of the day, we're Thai boxers, and everything we're doing, that's what we're supposed to be achieving. Yeah, well, why else are you doing anything? If it's bragging rights for training, then it's not really what it's about. Why Muay Thai? What is it about Muay Thai that you really appreciated about the sport from the start, compared to like Taekwondo and all the other things that you've started out with in football?
That's a good question. I feel like the kind of vibe I get from the gyms, like I go to like training in like Taekwondo or football training, but the vibe you get from walking into a gym when it's a Thai boxing gym, I just feel like, maybe I'm being biased now because I've done it so long and I love it, but I just don't think I've ever felt like that ever. I stepped into that gym, and ever since I stepped into it, it was just something I fell in love with. And it sounds cliche, but it's so true. Like, it's just something I was addicted to straight away. I wanted to get better at it. I was like looking up to these like guys that were fighting. I was like, they're like, like idolizing. I was like, they're like, it's amazing what they're doing. And like, it was like I don't know. I feel like another thing is that it's such hard work, and I feel like I was addicted to, I was seeing these guys, like these guys at the time when I was only young, like training for fights, and at the time they probably had their like sweat jackets on, or they had like, their bin liner on or something like that. and I was like, I really want to be like that. Like, I want to look like I'm training hard. I want to like get put through my paces like that. And I don't know, I was just addicted to that kind of work rate, I think, as well. It's hard to actually put your finger on why Muay Thai, because it kind of just happens. It's weird, but then everything that comes with it. So ever since I started getting better at it, then the opportunities that it's brought me in my life, that's what probably got me more addicted to it. And that's probably why I keep doing it. It's because I'm getting these major opportunities in my life that, like, not many. I mean, I'm 25 now, and I've done stuff that probably people in their lifetime would only dream of. Like, and that's not even being disrespectful. Like, that's just
No.
the truth. And like every year I'm traveling to different places, and I'm not paying the penny to do it. And like, I'm traveling the world, like doing something I really love doing, meeting like the amount of people I've met on the journey, like friends for like some of my best friends are, well, my best friend, like, or a couple of them, they're from Muay Thai. And just the things that it kind of brings to the table, the people you meet, the places you see, like, I think that's what I'm addicted to is that. And you know what, as well, I am a show off. Like, I love showing off my skills. And I think that's why I love Muay Thai as well, because I'm a showman. And I think it's one of the, in my opinion, if you're good at Muay Thai, I think it's one of the most, what's the word? I think it's one of the most impressive martial arts. Again, I'm going to be biased, obviously, but I feel like if you're top level Muay Thai, you're probably one of the top level combat athletes in the world. And I think that's what I think. And I always want to be the best at whatever I do. So to be the best at Muay Thai and be on that kind of like scale, like I think that's what that's why I love Muay Thai.
Yeah, I completely get what you're saying there. I mean, it's for me, when it comes to full contact combat sports as such, you know, the striking arts, Muay Thai is like, that's the one. Because it does use all the ranges, all the tools. You know, you're as free to do what you want as you can be. And for me, upright striking is the bit that I love to see the most, rather than just the groundwork stuff. I've got complete respect for that. But the bit that gives me the buzz is stand them up, get them striking again. At the end of the day, they're trying to knock each other out and not win on a decision. I love that. Yeah. I love that. And it's kind of pure. And kind of going back to what you said about, you know, your taekwondo and getting disqualified and stuff like that. That's exactly what happened with me. And it was why I went, well, sod this. I'm going to go to a martial art that allows me to just go for it. And, you know, it's a sport where you can get knocked out and stopped, but I think that suits me best. And I think it's different martial arts for everybody, isn't it? But it's interesting that that's the kind of route you've gone.
I think the other thing with the difference between, like, so what I loved about like Muay Thai, you have the respect aspect to it and the culture and everything, which you have in Taekwondo as well. But like with Muay Thai, you can I don't know, like you walk out, there's not just the respect side. So I feel like the Taekwondo, like it's a lot of point scoring, tip tap stuff. Whereas Muay Thai, it's all about respect, but it's all about being hard as well, like going hard as well. Yeah. So, and I think, and even if you're not a fighter, even if you're just training to keep fit, like what others, like there's not many other kind of sports or martial arts where you can go and bang the pads away, kick away and kick as hard as you can, like, you know, after a long day at work, or, you know, some people have stressful lives for one reason or another. What other sport can you go into a gym and smash the pads and smash the bag and like I know, and everyone I know that does Muay Thai that's kind of got addicted to it, whether they're a fighter or just a keep fitter, they come out feeling amazing from the gym. Like, and I don't think there's many other things that can really make you feel like that.
Yeah, you're not often, I guess, in today's kind of life with insurances and claims and all this kind of stuff, there isn't that kind of physical freedom to just do this stuff, is there?
No, not at all.
We're allowed to, and it's part of the game, and it keeps, I guess, certain characters like us sane.
Oh, mate, 100%. Like, there's been a few times in my life where I kind of not done it for one reason or another. Like, I've had a little break from it. And it's good for the first month because I've done it on a scale where I put my whole life into it. So I haven't just done it to kind of as a hobby or to kind of keep fit. Like, I've always done it to compete and be the best. But there's been a few times there's been a few little bumps in the road where I've gone, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I've probably done it. Like, I'm getting sick of it. And I get probably the first month I'm loving it. I'm being a normal teenager again. I'm going out with my mates, drinking and being normal for once. And then I have that month, and then I get to the end of that month, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I need it back, you know. Like, and I'll start going crazy, and like, definitely it keeps me sane. I've realised that over the years, definitely it keeps me sane.
It gives you a purpose, doesn't it? What do you love and appreciate about Muay Thai now that perhaps you didn't when you first started out, like when you were 11 or whatever age you were?
So I think it is the whole keeping you sane thing. I just used to do it because I kind of fell into it, and I'd done martial arts as a kid, and like, it was like a hobby. But yeah, like I genuinely think as I got a bit older, I've realised how much it kept me on the straight and narrow. And I think that's what I've realised over the years is what I love more about it is that it gives, I don't know, it just gives me a purpose in life, I suppose, as well. Like, I could be like a lot of normal, like, kind of lads my age, which again, I'm not digging anyone out for doing whatever they want to do, but like, I feel like Muay Thai has given me something to, like, kind of give me purpose and kind of given me something to kind of go for. So in life and make my life better. And I think that's what I love about it. Again, where when you're young, you don't really think about things. It's just, I'm just going to go fight, and that's it. Like, it doesn't. When you're young, you don't. Your thought process is completely different. Like, you're just doing it because you just love. You kind of like it. You enjoy it. You're just doing it. But yeah, I really appreciate the training side of things, because again, I used to sometimes, like I said, I used to get sick of the training. You know, like I'm a young lad and I was training really hard like a professional. But now I really appreciate how much that made me feel good inside. It's like a natural drug, you know. Like there's not much things that can make you feel like you. Again, like I said, now, like as I've got a bit older and had a bit of time out here and there as well, I've realised how good I feel coming out of the gym. And I think that's, again, like one of the things I've learned is that I actually do love the training. Like even there was one thing I used to always say. I remember even used to chat to my dad and a couple of mates, and I'd be like, oh, if I ain't got a fight, I'm not going to train. Like, you know, like that kind of, like, I don't need to train if I ain't got a fight. Whereas now I haven't had a fight for 2 years, and I've probably been training most days, you know, like, and if I don't train like 5 days a week or something like that, at least I feel weird. You know, I don't feel right. So like, I don't know, I think that's one thing I've learned, is that I actually really do enjoy the training, and I really enjoy the feeling. So yeah, that's probably some of the things I've realized.
There's certainly a lot that goes on with the hormones and neurochemistry and everything as a result of training that is, a lot of people will go out and find that artificially with drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. And I guess it's something, it's a bit of a pattern as well with retired fighters. They tend to, when they can't get it anymore through the training and the competition in particular, if they get it that way, that buzz, that they then go in to try and find it in a destructive way. So it's good. Yeah. It's good that you kind of realize how that's working for you, I guess. And I guess also just to be aware of how actually having a long training career, and even once you've stopped competing, still having a body that is lasting well and allows you to keep training to whatever extent you can do, because it keeps that all going. Whereas some people have completely wrecked themselves actually competing. Yeah.
See, this is one thing another thing I used to say, like I used to always make jokes, like, or I remember speaking to Savas and people like that, and I'll be like, yeah, like as soon as I'm retired fighting, I probably won't ever train again. Like, now thinking about it, I probably will be in the gym until I can't. Do you know what I mean? Like, until I can't move, until my body stops me. Like, so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's just one thing. You grow up and you realize that there's certain things that make you feel good, and there's certain things that are like they make you feel good long term. Like training makes you feel good long term, whereas going out getting drunk makes you feel good short term, but you feel like shit after it. so it's all just the short term buzz. So yeah, I've realised that as I've got older.
I'm always been a bit of a lightweight with the alcohol, so I would enjoy the night, but the next day I'd feel rough the whole day. I'd be put off my food. I wouldn't have an appetite, and for me that was the worst thing, because I love eating. As a natural limiter on all of that. But then, like you, I've always had that I'm training, so that they've been sort of odd spells, and it's one of those. You kind of appreciate the odd spell like that rather than it becomes the norm. That's the thing. It's interesting that. I'd love to know, because there's a mindset behind all of this, for the long term, what you think makes a champion. What do you think are the most important traits and characteristics for a champion to have?
I think, like, obviously the kind of obvious one is, obviously you got to put your life and soul into it. You've got to work really hard. Anything less, you're not going to probably be a champion. So, and just realizing again as well that there's no like kind of quick fix to be a champion. Like, it takes a long time. Like, it's not like I've just rocked up here and I've done a year and I'm a world champion and I've fought, and like this took a lot of time. And so yeah, time is a big thing. A lot of hard work and persistence. And I think the main thing for me is, like, in my own kind of how I feel, like what drives me is the drive to be a champion. Like, I've got this kind of just this like mindset where you got to have like, it's like bulletproof mindset, I call it, like, and you are just so tunnel vision on what you want. And if you have that and you do all the other things on the outside, you could probably achieve it. Definitely. Like, I'm pretty sure anyway, like, because like, it's not, again, I don't know. I mean, to a certain extent, you get like natural talent, but a lot of it that you don't just like, you remember your first day in Muay Thai, you probably couldn't kick at all, could you? Like,
No.
It's not like any of us have just walked into a Muay Thai gym and we've got perfect technique straight away. Like, so we're not really naturals, really, are we? We've just worked hard to get good at it, and yeah, so it just takes a lot of time, and like to have that kind of, yeah, that work ethic, and then but to have the drive is the main thing. The drive and the kind of mindset, the bulletproof mindset, I think is what it takes to be a champion. But yeah, there's no kind of glamorous secrets or anything. It's just hard work, probably. I'd say as well, getting used to, this sounds crazy because, but in Muay Thai, you're never going to have an undefeated record. So in Muay Thai, I think another thing you got to really think about is you got to learn to lose and learn how to bounce back from that loss. Because all these top fighters, Senchai, Nongo, like myself, like Sane, like all of these top level fighters, they've all lost. They've all been KO'd. They've all had probably some rough patches in their career, but they've all come back and they're all absolute legends still. So like, yeah, you just got to learn to lose and learn how to bounce back from that, especially in this game. Like there's no undefeated record in this. So if you're coming into this sport thinking you're going to be unbeaten forever, then you're going to have a horrible shock at one point.
Yeah, that's not the way it works. And
No.
And those challenges aren't just in defeats in the ring, are they? I mean, there are other big obstacles that you've personally had. I'd love for you to speak a bit about those. What are your greatest struggles that you've had, and what the lessons are that you've learned from those?
Yeah, I think there's a few times where probably the last year or so where like I've had like some tough times in the sport, and we've already like obviously touched on like Liam passing away, and then
Yes,
like little things here and there with like niggles and stuff like that. And like there's sometimes I'm like, I don't know anymore. Like, is this what I want to do? Like, is it really, like you ask, is it really what I want to do? And I think most fighters probably go through it. Like it's tough mentally to kind of go through like fight camps, and that's why a lot of people actually probably don't. A lot of people go to the gym just to keep fit and hit the pads and stuff, because it's doing that, it's amazing. You know, like hitting the pads, you feel great after it, but being a fighter takes something different. And so yeah, like I think, yeah, there's a few times I think most fighters probably go through it, where they go, oh, well, is it worth it anymore? Like, am I doing the right thing? And then at the time in my life when I was kind of asking myself that was before, obviously I guess we're going to touch on the whole Evolve thing in a bit, but
yes,
like before I got offered this job in Singapore, I was working on the roof again, and I'm like, I'm a 2-time world champion and I've beaten some of Thailand's best fighters, and why am I on a roof in England in the freezing cold? Like, again, nothing against people that do it, like fair play, but I just feel like I've got more to give than that, and I genuinely feel like I deserve more than that. And again, I think there's a few times where you feel a bit sorry for yourself, but then that's the worst thing you probably do. You just got to crack on, and I'd say that's another thing that I've really learned is the mindset of being positive, because I've said it in a few interviews or like a few little articles I've done myself or blogs or whatever, that whenever you're feeling negative, everything becomes negative, like, and then every outcome's negative, like, you know, and it just feels like, without going all cheesy and spiritual, but like it literally is like that you kind of give these negative vibrations to the universe, and all it brings back is negativity. Whereas as soon as you switch that up a bit and you start trying to be a bit more positive, trying to make it a little bit change, like trying to change, like where when I was being negative, I stopped training for a week. I was being lazy. I was moping around, feeling sorry for myself. Like, oh, I don't want to do Thai boxing anymore. I'm quitting. Whereas then I was like, pull yourself out of this. I was like, you know, having these little chats to myself. Something like meant like having these little internal chats. And I'm going, oh,
yeah,
stop being a baby. Get a grip and go to the gym, crack on, and stop feeling sorry for yourself. And then as soon as you start feeling sorry, stop feeling sorry for yourself and kind of start making the changes again, the positive things start happening. It's like the momentum swings again, and that's literally what's happened with me, because I had that point probably before Christmas. I was really bad. Oh mate, crying tears, mate. It was bad. Like a few times where I was just really stuck. I didn't really know what I was doing, and then I got this opportunity, and I was like, this couldn't have come at just a better time for me. Like, because this is real. Like, I mean, I've had some amazing opportunities in my life, but this one, like, is literally for my life, for my future. It's completely changed my life. So yeah, like.
So tell us about that, mate. You know, you obviously got contacted by Evolve MMA in Singapore, and what is it you're up to here with these guys? What's going on for you?
So yeah, I got contacted by them, which I couldn't believe it. Like, especially at that time, because like I said, I was having this real debate with myself, like whether I really wanted to do this anymore. And then yeah, they messaged me, and then I had back and forth. I had about 4 interviews with them, and even then, I was pretty confident when they were interviewing me that I was pretty confident that I would be suited to the role. So the role is like to be one of the Muay Thai instructors here. But the reason why it's such a big thing is because the only instructors they've got here in the Muay Thai team are all basically Thai. They're all they're like, there's no Western instructors over here. So and you're talking Nongo, Same, Pinek, Crew Yod, like they're all like crank. They've had some of the, well, all of them have been like, I think, fighter of the years and all that in Thailand. So these guys are like the cream of the crop. So when I'm getting like asked to kind of be in that team, and I've been asked, I didn't go out and ask for this. Like they've come to me, and it's like, that is really when like you pinch yourself and go, wow, like I remember when I was like 13, like going to these events and like fanboying over like some of these big fighters and that, and now I'm like, Sagadao, like I remember going to, when he fought Liam, I was probably about 12 or something like that, and he was fine. I was like, oh my god, he's amazing. Now he's like, I'm coaching alongside like him and people that are like even better than him. Like it's unreal. And like to mix with them kind of champions, and that. So I'm part of their coaching team, which they've got a really good, like they've got a massive they're kind of, the way they structure the classes and the way that it's like kind of like their format of how they run things here is like really professional. And I think that's why Evolve is so popular in Singapore, and why it's so successful is because they've got a real good strong format. And I think they've got 4 other gyms, so they've got 4 different gyms in Singapore. So I coach in one of the main ones. Yeah, it's called Far East. It's like Far East Square. It's called. So that's where like Nongo, Same, Pinek. You've got like Crew Yod here. You've got like some of the top guys that are in Far East Square, and then you've also got the Evolve fight team. So you've got the MMA team and the Muay Thai team. They all train out of that gym as well. So that's another thing I'll be doing, is I'll be coaching, but once I've kind of found my feet here, I've only been here for 2 weeks, or out of the quarantine for 2 weeks. So just trying to settle in, get used to my kind of schedule and what I'm going to be doing day to day. And then I really want to start up in the training, and I want to be part of their fight team. And the ultimate goal is probably, one championship, definitely. Like there's already kind of been a few little talks here and there. So I'm pretty sure that will be coming about as well. So to be amazing. I still like, I'm with like I've known these guys as well since I was like 15, but I'm still like a fanboy. I'm watching them, like I'm teaching alongside them, and I'm training with them again, and I'm just there like watching them, like in awe. Like this is unreal. Like I can't believe it makes me proud, because I'm like, I can't believe I've come this far like that, from a young kid that's from Luton Town and like lives in Bedford. Like it doesn't happen a lot to people around my area, and for me to like achieve this and be in it, like, well, 100% Asia's best gym in Asia, and being alongside like all multiple champions in boxing, MMA, Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu, like you've got not just the Muay Thai team, you've got the whole of martial arts. They've got the best of the best in each martial art, teaching and fighting out of that gym. So yeah, like I have to like kind of, yeah, it's still really surreal to me. Like, and it's sometimes I kind of sit back and think, wow, like how have I done? Like I've done well. I've done really well.
Thank God I'm not on those bloody roofs at the moment.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's another thing. It's I'm guessing it's pretty cold in England as well at the moment.
Yeah, we've had a little. It's starting to slowly warm up again, but yeah, nothing like you've got in Singapore, mate. Not at all.
Oh mate, it is. So today was boiling. It's so hot today. So yeah, I'm enjoying that at the moment. Getting a little tan as well. Finally.
Do you find you mentioned the sort of the Muay Thai coaching squad there as well? Am I right in saying you're probably the only native English speaker on the team there?
Yeah, so like as in person that first language is English.
Yes.
Yeah. They've actually got there's one local trainer. He's called Amir Ghani, and he's a trainer there as well now. Well, he's been there for a few years, but so he's from Singapore.
So I can see that being quite a useful kind of asset to Evolve MMA, being kind of like a bit of a generic language, isn't it? Regardless of where people come from, English tends to be the thing that the language they can communicate reasonably well through, regardless of where they come from. So yeah, if that's going back to how you can, you could relate to how, being coached by Pan and then by Liam, and the explanation level and that kind of depth that you can perhaps get across with the language being a little less of a barrier. I can see that's going to be quite an asset to Evolve, and like, one of your big strengths there. Yeah,
100%. And the ties there, I mean, like I said, I know Nongo and Same from back in Thailand, and genuinely, I couldn't believe it when I got it, because I haven't seen them for a few years now, and they didn't speak a word of English when I knew them before. So it was you kind of all went off of like broken Thai, broken English, really. But it was all kind of your relationship with the Thais at that point was more of the vibe you give off, like, and that's it. So, but I've come to Singapore and met them here, and like it's unreal how good their English has got. Like I can't actually believe it. So like, and that's another thing that actually made me pretty happy. Like, cause come here and like seeing how well they've done under like Evolve as well, and how far they've come and how much they've changed their lives around, like, and their families' lives around, like their financial positions and just everything. Like kind of makes me happy as well for them. But yeah, like I think having, again, because they've actually learned English language, I think having me beside them now is a perfect combination. Like you said, like the Liam and Pan situation, I think that's what I kind of could bring to the table as well. Like they've got probably 20 odd years experience probably on me, but I've probably got that to my game where and I know the game inside out. Like this is all I do. Like I study it. That's all I ever do. So even though they've got the experience, I still know the game inside out myself. So yeah, hopefully I can bring that to the table and really help them guys as well, kind of like help them out even more with their language and keep bringing them on.
Yeah, that's it. And it is a sport specific language as well. This is something I always found, even when my previous career was an engineer. So it's like there are terminologies in every discipline that are unique to that discipline, and it's understanding how to communicate those. And Muay Thai and fight movements and things, it's down those sort of lines, and it's really good that I'm so grateful to companies, businesses like Evolve, like the One Championship, for actually providing a way for fighters like you and coaches to do this at the level that they should be able to do, to provide that opportunity. It's because if there wasn't, you might have been giving up on this kind of stuff, and this is the thing. And these are really talented people that haven't got that outlet. So these opportunities are fantastic, aren't they?
Yes, it's I can't express how much it's like changed my kind of, just changed my life massively. I mean, just completely changed. Like my life kind of done like a whole 180, 360, whatever you want to call it. Like, I've just complete, just complete turned it around. And from going from 3-4 months ago where I was like, it was weird because I got offered the job and I was having these kind of doubts in my head. And then I was like, this is all I've ever done and this is all I've ever loved doing. Little things just trigger it. But then, now I'm here and I'm like positive. I'm looking forward to kind of just getting the ball rolling. I've kind of found my feet already. I feel like I'm settling in really well. Everyone's being really nice. Everyone's so nice. All the Thais, even the ones I don't really know, or hadn't knew before, they're all looking after me really well. And yeah, can't complain, man. It's good times, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of good times ahead.
Those little doubts that you mentioned there, is that kind of like that classic imposter syndrome? Is it like, I shouldn't be here. I don't even deserve this. Is that what was going on?
No, never that. Because I think it was the opposite. I feel like I deserved more, and that, I'd say obviously before the Evolve MMA.
Yeah.
I think that was the big problem. It was I actually felt like I was owed more from the sport,
Yes.
given my all to it, and I've always been quite a fair person. I've always kind of been a nice guy. I think you could speak to probably most people in the Muay Thai world, and probably even people that know me from the outside of that world, and I don't think many people ever really have had a bad word to say about me. But and then I was thinking, I'm a good person. I've worked hard. I've achieved massive things, and it's like everything's going against me. But then, I think that was the doubts. It was like maybe it just wasn't meant to be. Maybe I've achieved these big things. I achieved these big fights. But to be honest, I don't want to kind of just talk about money. But it all did boil down to that at some point. So I'm like, why am I roofing to get money? Why aren't I earning money from this sport when I'm clearly good at it? I've beaten some of the top names. I've done everything, and why aren't I getting these opportunities? And that's when the doubts come. I was like, maybe it's just the kind of universe telling me maybe it's not meant to be, and I'm not supposed to be doing it. I don't know, and I had them kind of things, and like I said, no lie. I suppose it tells you how much I want it. I've cried to my girlfriend, to my dad. I cried. It's been tough. Last few years have been really tough, but yeah, I think I've got through the worst of it, and I don't even really with the certain obstacles I've had to kind of overcome. I don't even really, now that I'm here and on a real positive journey, I try not to even talk about it anymore, because I think everyone knows my kind of story about the obstacle now.
Right.
And I don't, I think now it's just, I'm just trying to keep it as positive as possible. And I'm just trying to leave that kind of behind me now. And I just look forward, don't look back, and just go with it. And I'd say follow the heart, and whatever I want to do, I'll do it. And I think whatever I set out to kind of achieve, I'll achieve it.
Yeah. It's looking back at the way I kind of look at the obstacles and things, because regardless of who people are, they've all got them, and it's almost like actually have pride that you've overcome them or stuck through it or whatever. It's built that resilience, and your kind of record of surviving this stuff is 100% because you're still here. It's like
exactly.
That's the positive from it all. And actually, it was Tony
100%.
Myers on the podcast that we were talking about mental toughness and research that he's done with Paralympians and stuff like that. And he was talking about post-traumatic growth. So it's like when it goes wrong, it's like some people use that as a springboard to just become better versions. Yeah. And it's and that, I think that's the way to look at struggles. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm being dealt a struggle. This is the test. Yeah. How do I deal with this? And how can I use this as a bit of a resilient springboard for going forwards rather than letting it bury me?
Yeah.
And you've
100%.
you've sussed that.
I think I did say this I've said this a few times to my close mates and stuff, that, again, not trying to be cheesy, but if I can get through this, some of the kind of physical and mental pains that I've got through, if I can get through that, then the fights that like basically the fighters in my division better watch out, because it's going to be, if I was doing what I was doing before this and I didn't have to kind of overcome all of this stuff, then what am I going to be like now that I've got over it and I've got through that? Because genuinely, I don't think any fight will be tougher than what I've kind of gone through at some stages in my career. So yeah, I've got through a lot of like tough obstacles, but yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of like showing that when I get back in the ring or the cage, wherever it's going to be. Like, I'm just looking forward to kind of putting on a show again.
And you've touched there on something I find personally really fascinating, in that, you know, you're talking about the struggles you've had outside the ring and how you've overcome those. And then that's kind of like a long-term thing. And then in the ring, the struggles you have in the ring, those moments are much more sort of acute short-term thing. Yeah. And it's like, do I dig deep now, or do I give up? Kind of the same question you ask over the long term as well. But it's the same habit, isn't it? So if you've got the habit in the long term of giving up, it's what happens in the fight, and vice versa. Exactly. If you give up in the fight, you give up in long term in life. So it's a really kind of interesting mirror to hold up to yourself, that one.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what probably was eating away at me at some points, because I've never gone kind of given up in a fight or anything. I've never been that kind of person. So when I found myself like, oh, maybe it's time to stop it, it was killing me like inside. It was hurting, and I think that's where like the kind of the tears come from and that kind of thing, because I've never been that person, and I've always kind of just went for it. And do you know what I mean? Whereas this kind of like was like kind of KOing me in a way, you know, like this thought, like just like it was like going around my head, and I was like it was driving me insane. So yeah, but like I think because I got over that now, I think times are going to be good, and yeah, there's some real good times coming, definitely, and yeah, some good fights, some big fights hopefully, and being around these kind of legends in Evolve in Singapore is like, even the last couple of weeks, it's really it's motivated me to kind of get back at it, you know, and kind of, because I don't want to, I mean, I'm here as the Westerner and stuff, but I want to be known as one of the champions, you know, like I know they call me like they've said they kind of advertise me as a 2-time world champion, but I want to be on the par with Same, Nongo, and these guys. I don't want to be anything less than that. So that's my goal now, is to kind of get on their level now and build the legacy.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're going to achieve now you're given the opportunity, mate. Something I just wanted to touch on before I move on from this, the bit where you're sort of talking about, you know, the feeling like, things aren't working out here, do I give up? And it's like the tears, and it's because there's emotion in there, and it's because it really means something to you, and it's because it's like you say, you felt like your self-identity, your core values of not quitting on stuff, all of that stuff was being tweaked, and that was why it was upsetting, because it's like, I'm being pushed to be someone I'm not, and I'm not happy. Then the emotion comes, and it's good to kind of learn this stuff. Where are your real personal core values and your sort of your own identity as such? Knowing that as a fighter and as a person, I think is phenomenal, and Muay Thai is great at doing that. I want to touch now on you know, how things have changed for you now, not just in terms of, you know, where you are in Singapore, but in your approach to training as a fighter. How has that changed as you've gone through your process there as a fighter, from when you started to now?
So yeah, I'd say now, going through some of these obstacles with the niggles and the kind of all of that stuff, is like one thing I really take from it all is really look after your body as well as train hard. So you got to really do both, because I'd go into training. I mean, from a kid, I'd go into training, not stretch, not do anything, straight onto pads, not even think about it, and it's only until probably the last couple of years where like I started to feel that, and now if I went into the gym now, didn't stretch, didn't do anything, and went straight into pads, I wouldn't be able to walk for a few days. Like, and I'm only 25. I'm still young, really, in comparison to say 35, 40, whatever. But I mean, I've been doing it a long time as well, so it's like intense training for a long period. So I'm 25, but I'm still kind of old in the game, I suppose. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's one thing I think I took from it, is that there were certain things that basically I wasn't really taking as serious as I thought I was, or maybe I just didn't think they were that needed. And one of them was, or a couple of them, there's probably you're going to be like, strength and conditioning was one of them. And because I think, you know what made me be like that was being in Thailand for a long period of my career, because I'm clinching with these Thais and then they're ragging me about, and they're like 40, 45 kilo, and I'm like, they're so strong, but they can't bicep curl 2 kilo dumbbells. Like, do you know what I mean? And so I'm like, oh, does it really matter? Strength and conditioning, but then kind of educating myself on it. Strength and conditioning doesn't just mean building strength. Like, you're building your body and armor and preventing injuries as well. And obviously in the process, you're building some strength and some power and some explosive strength, etc. But so yeah, that was one thing I used to think, oh well, they're not doing it, so I may as well just clinch every day and I'll get better and I'll get stronger, which I probably would, and I'll probably have. But no lie, like the niggles that I've got since I've probably 22, 23, like from just not looking after my body so much is really like from 21 to now, like I've noticed a big change in my body and certain things where like I just can't do what I was doing when I was 21. And again, it sounds like I'm talking like I'm an old man, but I genuinely can feel the difference. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can feel the difference of them years. So yeah, strength and conditioning is one. I'd say nutrition was another. So even when I was fighting, yeah, my nutrition probably wasn't great. I've never not made weight, but it was, like crash diets and doing stupid stuff. And I think, again, now my goals are like one championship. Is like obviously my next goal in fighting. Obviously the rehydration thing is a big thing. So you can't just do these crash diets anymore. You can't just dehydrate yourself and make the weight anymore. So I have to take that serious, definitely next. And stretching and stuff like that, and other little things, like even like I've opened my mind a lot more to doing like bits and bobs of like yoga. Like, again, I'm not preaching that I've done loads of this stuff, because I haven't actually like done loads and loads of it, but it's one thing that I've really opened my mind at, and I know that I have to do a lot more of. So yeah, like that's one thing I'd say. That's actually one positive thing that's come out of like the bumps in the road is them things, because I've realized, okay, I need to, if I want to carry on fighting and I want to carry on this life, then I need to start taking that serious, because I'm not 18 anymore. I'm like starting to get older, and if I want to carry on and get to the top of the sport and go through these intense training camps again, then I'm gonna have to start doing that and start taking it a lot more serious. And even like my lifestyle outside, like before certain fights, like, like doing stupid stuff, like going out, getting drunk before fight, like just doing stupid stuff, like young, dumb, thinking I was the boy, and like realizing that that's only just going to catch up with me. Like, I might have got away with that for a few years, but it's not gonna, like, I'll end up getting seriously put in my place if I carry on like that. So yeah, I think there's been a few things that I've learned, and there's a few, like, it's taught me a lot about myself. And I think there was always, like, I'd say another one thing, sorry, again, I'm waffling here, but it's like, it's
good
kind
stuff,
of,
mate. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's kind of telling you, because you can kind of lie to yourself. And like, I used to tell myself, I'm doing enough. Yeah, it's fine. But realistically, if you're truthful to yourself and you actually look at yourself and you kind of tell yourself the truth, you're not doing enough. You could do more, or more of that kind of the strength stuff, that you're just making excuses, or you're kind of sugarcoating things. But yeah, I've really learned to kind of tell myself if I'm like, or just be truthful to myself. It's probably one thing I've realized you have to be when you're a fighter as well.
Yeah. It's interesting that it's quite easy when you don't understand some of these different elements that can add to your training. If it's not something you have much knowledge on, it's very easy just to say, well, it's not relevant. But it can come to a point where you've realised, okay, that's why it's relevant. And it's normally when something comes crashing down, and rather than nice preventative maintenance, it's kind of breakdown maintenance where it's gone and busted on you now.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also all these little bits as well. They're kind of marginal gains in terms of performance. So they're nothing that's going to make you suddenly phenomenally better unless you had a really big hole in the way you were preparing yourself. But they all just stack on top of each other and create like compound interest. It just moves you up. But the other bit, like you've kind of indicated there, whatever these other sort of elements you're bringing in, is the fact that it can extend your career. That's the thing. If you want to do it for longer, and if you want to be still reasonable when you have reached the end of your career and still able to do stuff and not just being completely messed up, because it's a very physical sport, then keeping everything robust is a good idea.
100%. Yeah. Like, and then I've got I've got all of that around me now. I've got I've become good friends already with like the strength and conditioning coach here at Evolve. He's a young lad as well, so we get on really well. I was out with him yesterday, and I went out for dinner and stuff with him, and like I've already kind of made a good relationship with him. And I said to him, like, once I kind of settle and get on my feet here and kind of start coaching it, because what I didn't want to do is kind of go all in on the training and then be knackered and then not coached because my main job here is obviously to be a coach. So obviously I can do both, but I wanted to put a good like kind of show on for the coach, and I wanted to show that how good my coaching skills can be. So I think this week is I really I feel like I'm sleeping better now. Everything's a lot better. So this week I'll start the strength training, the proper Muay Thai training. I'll be training most days. So I think it's looking good.
Awesome. I'll be watching with interest, mate. I'll be following closely, see what you're up to.
Mate.
I'll be reaching out. Just finally then, Dan, if you were to give one piece of advice to someone that wants to be as great as they can be, what would that be for you?
Like I said, I think be truthful to yourself when you're doing this. Like there's no point lying, because you know whether you're lying or not. And the only person that's going to kind of feel the brunt of them lies is going to be you. So it's a harsh sport. So I think that, and if you got to be driven, you got to work hard, you got to be true to yourself. I think three things there like will get you far. And I'd say as well, surround yourself with like-minded and positive people as well. Having a good team around you and having a good support base and support network around you is really key. I've realized that's another thing I've really realized over the years. And I think having them kind of things will take you to a big level if you've got all of that. So I'd say that's the main thing, and just enjoy the ride. I'd say, like, because it's a bumpy one, but it's a fun one at the same time. It's fun, but it's just enjoy it and just go with it, and that's all I've done in my career. I've kind of just like gone with things, gone with the flow, not really stressed about too much. I mean, even with some of the stuff that's happened over the years, like I've never really let it really stress me. Only a few times, and like I said to you earlier, that when I started doing that, when I was stressing and being negative, that's when my life was going down the way. So no matter what, like just try and stay positive. Sounds cheesy, I'm not a like motivational speaker, but that's just how I've dealt with it, and I feel like it really helps. So like be positive, surround yourself with good people, and just go for it, enjoy the ride, man. And I'm sure you'll have some good times as well, because I'm just a normal guy. I'm not a normal guy from a normal town. None of my family were born in, like I wasn't born into Muay Thai. Like none of my family do it. None of my family are fighters. I've just worked hard and I've achieved something good with my life.
That's awesome, mate. I mean, just reached 25 years old, and there's what you've done with your training and your life experience up till now. You've really kind of been through the focus, I think, and learned so much. And people can go a lifetime without learning some of the lessons you've just shared with us today. So I'd really like to say thank you for sharing that with us. I think it's going to be really useful for everyone listening to this, and I hope they've enjoyed it as much as I have, and wish you all the best in in all of your exploits there in Singapore and beyond, I'm sure, coaching and hopefully one championship as well. Really looking forward to backing you on that one as well, mate. And thanks again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me as well. Appreciate it.
You can find out more about Dan and learn about his latest exploits at Dan McGowan MT on Instagram. And check out his website, danmcgowanmuaythai.com, along with his YouTube channel too. And for all things Evolve MMA, check out evolve-mma.com and the Evolve University Master Courses at evolve-university.com/courses. And you'll find links to all of these with this episode.
Thanks for listening. If you found this valuable, please like, subscribe, and share with someone else it could help too. Please give the podcast a review or comment below. We'd love to hear from you. As always, you can visit Heatrick.com for more Muay Thai performance podcasts, videos, articles, and guides. Catch you next time.